This channel is for educational purposes only. Please do your own due diligence before making any investment decisions. Hi, welcome back to Invest Like a Pro. So I want to talk about the S&P today, and in fact, I'm going to go through several of the indexes this week. I just think it's important to just stay on top of everything. I'm going to take a quick peek at volatility, and then I'm going to go through the different indexes and show you what I think is a possibility for the S&P chart. So let's go ahead and get into this. So I've got a little bit different look to this, but I wanted to just show the average true range has pulled back through its moving average. Now the moving average, the 18 MA, is still rising here. So it's possible that we could see this work its way back up without this rolling over and have it be in this kind of a scenario. That's assuming that we fail or do some kind of reversal here and have kind of like some big volatility coming back. Like if big bars come back, then it's possible that this could start turning back to the upside. If it plays out that way, I think that would be a pretty big negative. But I think we have to be open to the idea that this is going to just start flattening out, rolling over. And if that ends up playing out like that, then we have to look for a pullback here and go. So I think that you got to be open to that. Now, the sentiment is about the same. It went from 18% to 19%, so not a big change this week. Okay, I just wanted to show that. Now, let's get into the charts. So the monthly chart, what's kind of annoying, a little annoying, is it looked like this wanted to finally get some kind of at least a little bit of a pullback or a pause in the trend. And then what we've done is we've basically just completely reversed. Now, we've still got some time left in this month, so we don't know how this bar is going to complete. If it closes like this or higher, then obviously that's pretty bullish. And I think the scenario that leads to is one of these patterns where it gets late in the year and you see where we started the year. We started the year on this bar, and that's kind of like the open, generally speaking, right around there. And we've pretty much been up all year long. So when you get to this point, usually it's around Thanksgiving. If you make it to Thanksgiving where you open right near the low and then you just trend to the upside and you get close to right around Thanksgiving time and you haven't started to correct or anything, then you have to assume that that it's going to close at its highs for the year. So that's something we have to be, I think, open to at this point based on the way this is trading. Even if it comes back a little bit or it doesn't break out right now, it might have a pause month in November and then finish off the year, a little bit more to the upside. But I'm sort of, if it doesn't start selling off here before too long, probably in another 2-3 weeks, then I think you have to be ready for this to finish off. It might not go any higher, but it's probably going to finish off near its highs for the year, just like it opened near its lows for the year. So I wanted to make sure I covered that this week. And so we just want to be, we'll just continue to talk about this each week, but I wanted to make sure I brought that up. Now, the other thing that the way this could play is, I mentioned this about a month ago as a possibility that we've broken this trend line. We've kind of started to show signs that maybe this wanted to roll over, but we never got the 18 to roll. And so what if this just blows off to the upside and go ahead and just keeps moving up, or maybe goes all the way up to 500, the big round number up at 500. That is a possibility. And I think what we have to be on the lookout for now is green's going to come up here and it's going to look like the start of a new trend. But after this type of a massive divergence, I would view this more like a climax signal rather than the start of something new. So obviously, I'm kind of doing a little forecasting, looking well ahead, well in advance, but I wanted to make sure I give you these scenarios so that you understand that A big move to the upside right now where it just breaks out and keeps going probably causes the market to finish near the highs for the year, have a little bit of follow through into the new year, and then I bet we get some kind of a pretty substantial reversal. So we want to keep that in mind as we go and look at the near-term pattern. So first of all, look at the weekly. We've pulled back again. We've moved up. We have rising moving averages, but I don't like this. So if this were a stock, I wouldn't buy this pullback because I don't like the looks of the MACD or the ADX. So that doesn't mean that you can't go find a stock that has rising moving averages and good ADX and good MACD and buy and play the move. You can definitely do that. But for this index, the SPY, I wouldn't do it. Now, if in fact we get a little pullback here and this keeps rising and we kind of work our way down and we get a little pinch play develop, then I'd be willing to go down to the hourly, and that should be some kind of an opposing trend pattern to play on the daily and the hourly. So as I mentioned last time, the only play we had was the hourly down to a 10-minute, and it never really set up because look at how it just kept pushing to the upside. So the fact is that we really haven't had this move. We had the 1, 2, 3 taking back to the upside, but we haven't really had a good trading pullback since that happened. And sometimes that takes place. Now we're up against this high. We made it through the resistance area, which I thought would be right around 450, 451. We've made it through that, but we're still at this prior high. And I think if we get some kind of a little pullback here, that would be what I'd be watching for, unless it's big bars to the downside. If you get big bars to the downside and the volume's on the heavy side, then I would have a lot less interest in this. And it's probably going to end up forming a trading range as I had originally thought. So we're getting to a critical point. We need to see how this trades. Let's go and look at the QQQ. I haven't looked at this in a little while. Part of the reason is that it's very similar. We've got really good trend action on momentum conditions on the monthly and the hourly, and not so good on the weekly and the daily. The one thing I'll say is this doesn't have the same type of failure. When this went up, we did get above 25 on this index, on this ADX. So it's not the same kind of exhaustion pattern, but it's still a divergence. And MACD looks a little tired here. It just doesn't, it's not something I would play off of that time frame. Now, we have had a crossover of green DI. So if that can hold on a pullback, and I want to see this rising, this 18 rising, and I would like to see both MACD lines above 20, above the zero. But, you know, we're starting to get into that point where we could probably look for a pullback on the hourly to play. Let's go to the DIA. So this also had a pretty good reading on the last move to the upside, and then we went through kind of a corrective pattern that's been more sideways in price and down in MACD. So this is more of like that reverse divergence pattern. It's not exact because this did undercut that low, but we've made a much bigger pullback in MACD than we have in price on the Dow. And I think this is setting up, look for a little pullback or something like that as a buying opportunity, because I do think it look like this wants to break out. And it does make sense when you look at some of the industrial stocks starting to look like they're bottoming. Go look at some basic materials starting to act better. Financials have been good. And we have energy acting pretty well also. So those are all pluses. I definitely wanted to bring this up again. I have been saying, go back and look, like 3 months ago, I brought this up. I said, look, we got this big move to the upside and this is going to work sideways. And what I'm looking for is for the 18-week to meet up with the 40-week. Well, lo and behold, we finally got there. It's finally caught up. And the reason why I really wasn't looking for one of those opposing trend patterns where the 18 crosses down below is because this has been more of a horizontal consolidation pattern. We're getting very close to the zero line, and we very possible we're going to get a zero line reversal. I would draw a trend line in place, really look for a breakout. Probably needs to get through these prior highs at 233 or something like that to really get going. But I think it's pretty worthwhile to watch this because I think the dynamics of the way this is traded lead this to be a potential leader for the next leg to the upside. So just want to keep that in mind. I will take a look at the oil chart because we're taking out this big area and breaking out here. So we're taking out this key level at 81, but we're overbought in the process. So we want to look for some kind of a dip or pullback, consolidation pattern, a pause, something along those lines to kind of work off this short-term overbought condition. But I'm kind of impressed with what's going on here. Gold is still kind of stuck, not doing a whole lot. We're going to need to see some big green bars to get things going. Gold doesn't usually sneak its way to a new trend. I mean, normally when it's going to go, you're going to know. You're going to get some pretty big bars, and we'll know when that takes place. But we just want to keep an eye on it for now. TNX, really nice turnaround. Look at this weekly chart. I mean, well, first of all, look at what happened on the monthly. We had the pinch play, pull back to the 18, which was declining, and now it's rising. We're getting nice follow through off that. Look at this zero line reversal. So look at for this combination. I did a video on this in the past. Look at this pinch play and zero line. Look for this combination. Really good combination to be on the lookout for in MACD. And now we're moving up. I still think there's going to be some resistance at this prior high at 175, something like that. But ultimately, I think this is going to make a move up towards 2. That would be my guess. Bitcoin. Let me switch this to a 4-hour chart. So we've got strong monthly. We talked about this pullback, and if it held 40 and got through 50, we should see some follow through. We ran all the way up to the high. Now we've gotten overbought with good momentum. We want to watch for a pullback in this time frame as a potential trade. Now, the way this should play out is we should get an opposing trend pattern on the hourly that gives you a chance to get in this on the daily. So it's these time frames together, these two working together. If you have any questions about this opposing trend, I actually, on the Stock Talk show that I do on Thursdays, it just came out. If you go to YouTube or you go on demand and go on Stock Charts TV, you can find, I spent 10 minutes, at least 10 minutes at the beginning of the show talking about this opposing trend pattern, where it came from, who the trader was that I actually learned it from, and then why I think it's really valid when we're using these moving averages. So something you might want to go take a look at. Have any questions or comments, please post them. We'll talk to you next time.